The grand wedding is tomorrow. Gui Tong. Ah, how can your family not even keep an eye on a daughter? There's still an hour left. The wedding ceremony is about to take place. While the body is still warm, hurry up and get married. In order not to delay the consummation of the marriage, the matchmaker unabashedly acknowledges that Gui Tong is already dead. Instead, she puts red boots on her for stepping into water, so that she can walk the ghostly path. But to prevent her from becoming a vengeful ghost claiming lives, the matchmaker then on the top of her head, inserts a golden hairpin to suppress her soul, and deliberately uses rooster blood to outline her lips, and also ties green bamboo to her back. A dead person's eyes cannot be opened, so the matchmaker has a clever idea, and draws eyes on Gui Tong's eyelids with sand. Stop tormenting her. My good child. You are about to enjoy great fortune. You won't have to suffer the torments of this world anymore. Soon after, the nanny carried Gui Tong into the bridal sedan chair, but the matchmaker closely followed behind. This bowl of medicinal soup is made from various types of ginseng and wild mushrooms. It revitalizes and awakens the mind. It can make her excited. It will keep her warm for the entire day and night. Her body will remain warm. The daughter is already dead. Master Gui originally did not want to trouble her further, but the matchmaker had already entered the bridal sedan chair with the bowl, and poured the medicine in. Little did they know that the dead are coveted, eating the food of the living after death. She would be reluctant to depart. Moreover, a funeral with joy, a wedding with ghosts. This wedding banquet is destined not to be peaceful. Sure enough, just as the banquet was set up at home, and Gui Tong was being sent to Luohua Cave to get married, the sedan chair had just reached the water bridge, when a bizarre scene occurred. The guests who had just been feasting, they all disappeared without a trace, and suddenly, a machete came flying out of nowhere. A dead person being carried in a sedan chair. That sedan chair is no longer one for joyous occasions, but rather a sedan chair for the soul. This sedan chair suppresses the soul and carries ghosts. The young girls escorting the bride are all unaware. They follow the village chief's instructions, covering the way with red umbrellas, heading towards the back mountain in the southwest direction. But where the sedan chair passes, gusts of cold wind blow, and many red paper money for the dead flutter down, and they have already been walking for 3 hours, but they are still going around in circles in the forest. One of the young girls becomes frightened. Don't you feel that this place seems like we've just been here before? It's the same path as before. The first taboo of escorting a bride is not to set the sedan chair down before reaching the groom's house, because if the sedan chair is set down midway, it becomes a halfway marriage, which is an omen of death. Ah, what is that? What is this thing? Something moved behind you. Just as everyone was panicking, a young girl seemed as if she was possessed, suddenly revealing a sinister smile, and unknowingly holding a stack of joss paper in her hand. This scene terrified everyone. However, the next second, the young girl's lanterns all went out, and it seemed like there was something behind her, touching them all over. Everyone was so scared that they lifted the sedan chair and ran back. But in a wedding procession, there's no such thing as turning back. The young boys and girls in the procession were instantly petrified. They just thought to help the bride, but found that she had long since died. Immediately, countless tentacles stretched out from the ground, grabbing them all away, and then hanging them in midair. What's even more terrifying is, the dead bride had turned into a zombie. Do you see the bamboo pole behind her neck? Only when a dead person is married off, do they use a frame to prop it up. It turns out we've been carrying a dead person all along. I want to go home. Mom. She's moving. She's playing dead. Just at that moment, the rooster meant to suppress the spirit suddenly flew up, and then landed on the ghost bride's head, accompanied by a scream. The ghost bride was swept away by an evil wind, and thrown into the falling flower cave. And the young boys and girls who were part of the wedding procession never returned. The villagers hurried to the bridge, only to find that not a single bite had been taken from the banquet. The auspicious time had passed. The banquet was untouched. The ceremony was not yet complete. To be married to the mountain god, so her wedding feast invited all the mountain spirits, goblins, and wandering ghosts. And the mountain god Gui Tong was to marry is named Chi Mei. He has a preference for beautiful women, so every year, the village must select a girl with a fortunate birth chart, to be sent to the falling flower cave in the back mountain to become the mountain god's wife. Once the girl consummates the marriage with the mountain god, she will merge with the mountain god, sincerely protect the villagers, ensuring good weather for the year. But this year's marriage has clearly angered the mountain god, because the yin yang master placed at the banquet unexpectedly started to reverse. This is an omen of great misfortune. The matchmaker, fearing the mountain god's punishment upon her, was so frightened that she quickly knelt down, confessed that Gui Tong had died before her wedding, the fact that she was already dead, to call back Gui Tong's body, and to choose another girl to atone by entering the cave. But after the village chief performed the ritual, only the rooster that led the bridal sedan was called back. This indicates that the mountain god is unwilling to return Gui Tong, having sent a dead person to the mountain god. All of us in the village must atone. Sure enough, The very next morning, the matchmaker was led by the rooster that was called back, and was impaled at the altar at the entrance of the village. Before long, Gui Tong's father also met with an accident. He was standing fine at the doorway, but suddenly got strangled by a rope. The village chief was horrified at the sight. The mountain god is on a killing spree, he thought. The nanny, seeing the master's ghastly death, feared that the disaster would affect more people. Only then did she reveal a shocking truth. The bride offered to the mountain god must be a virgin. However, Gui Tong had already been intimate with someone, and was even pregnant. After learning about this, Master Gui punished Gui Tong by making her kneel for 3 days and nights, and also whipped her severely with a rattan cane, hoping to abort the child in her womb. I grew up with Langde as childhood sweethearts. We didn't do anything wrong. Being childhood sweethearts with Langde, who approved of your relationship. Gui Tong's horoscope carries joy. She is a woman whose fate brings prosperity to the entire village. And this year, there's a severe drought. So the village chief decided on her early on. They planned to send her to Luohua cave to become the mountain god's wife, in hopes of favorable winds and timely rain this year. But how could a woman who had lost her virginity and was pregnant, possibly marry the mountain god? Master Gui then thought to terminate the pregnancy. Gui Tong had no choice but to flee to protect her unborn child. But as soon as she reached the train station, she was caught by the village chief and taken back. In despair, Gui Tong starved herself to death. But even after her death, her body still had to be wed. Afterwards, the Gui family hired a matchmaker specialized in ghost marriages, who dressed Gui Tong up as a ghost bride. She was sent to Luohua cave to consummate the marriage with the mountain god's demon. Although the matchmaker painted eyes on Gui Tong, a dead person is still a dead person. Even if she was once very beautiful, she could not interact with the mountain god. In a fit of rage, the mountain god hoisted Gui Tong's body high up, and then violently threw it down. But unexpectedly, with this fall, Gui Tong's soul left her body. She didn't know she was already dead, desperately trying to escape the cave, but her legs wouldn't obey her. It turns out that all the women who fell into the hole were thrown down from the entrance. Even though Gui Tong was already a corpse, her legs were still broken from the fall. However, all the sensations from her past life would slowly disappear after becoming a ghost. Soon, Gui Tong was able to walk, but when she saw herself in the pool of water, she realized she had no face at all. The mountain god seized Gui Tong, and threw her into a narrow cave. On the withered branches inside, hung all sorts of girls' jewelry. These were left by the girls who had fallen into the hole before. After consummating their union, their bodies had become part of the mountain god. Gui Tong was instantly filled with panic. And just at that moment, the mountain god extended his palm towards her. Watching the hand slowly reaching out, Gui Tong was not afraid at all, because all the women who were brought in would be enchanted by the mountain god, and thus see the terrifying mountain god as their beloved. Only then would they willingly